Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Nature channel. Take a slow breath in and let it drift out gently. Tonight, there is nowhere you need to go and nothing you need to solve. We're going to wander softly into the quiet world of dreams, the place your mind visits when the lights dim and the body rests. As you listen, allow your thoughts to loosen like leaves floating on still water. Let's begin. As night settles around you, dreams begin their quiet preparation. They don't arrive all at once. They gather slowly, the way mist forms over a lake when the air cools. Inside your mind, memories from the day stretch out and relax. Sounds you heard, faces you noticed, small moments you barely registered. All of them drift together, gently rearranging themselves. Your brain doesn't store them like files in a cabinet. It weaves them softly into stories made of feeling rather than logic. Dreams often begin during the deepest parts of sleep, when your body is still and your breathing is slow and even. Your muscles relax almost completely, as if the body knows it's safe to let go. This stillness protects you, allowing the mind to wander freely without moving the physical world along with it. In this quiet state, your brain becomes more active than during the day. Not busy, but alive in a different way. Regions tied to emotion, imagination, and memory glow gently with activity, while the parts responsible for planning and judgment dim their lights. That's why dreams rarely follow rules. Time bends, places merge. You may walk through a childhood home that opens into an unfamiliar forest, or speak with someone who feels known yet unnamed. In dreams, meaning matters more than accuracy. Colors often appear richer in dreams, even if you don't consciously notice them. Shades blend smoothly into one another, like watercolor spreading on damp paper. The mind paints without effort, using sensations instead of words. Many dreams are influenced by emotions rather than events. A feeling of calm might turn into a slow flight above a quiet landscape. A lingering worry might appear as searching for something lost, without urgency, just motion. Your mind translates emotion into imagery the way wind shapes clouds. Dreams also help your brain tidy itself. While you rest, unnecessary connections loosen and important ones strengthen. It's like a gentle night breeze moving through branches, clearing what no longer needs to stay while leaving the tree balanced and whole. You may not remember most of your dreams, and that's perfectly natural. Dreams don't require an audience. They do their work whether you watch them or not, like stars shining behind clouds. Sometimes, just before waking, a dream lingers, fragile and soft. Trying to grab it too quickly can make it dissolve, but letting it fade calmly allows its feeling to remain, settling into you like warmth. As you lie here now, your mind is already drifting closer to that dream space. Thoughts slow, edges soften. Awareness becomes lighter, as if it's floating rather than standing. There is nothing you need to control tonight. Dreams know where to go on their own. All you have to do is rest and let them come to you quietly, kindly, in their own time. As your breathing becomes slower and deeper, the boundary between waking and dreaming begins to soften. It's not a sharp line. It's more like a shoreline, where water and land quietly trade places with each wave. Your thoughts no longer arrive in straight sentences. They drift in fragments, a color, a sensation, a half-remembered place. This is how dreams prefer to speak. Inside your mind, the day continues to dissolve. Conversations lose their words and keep only their emotional warmth. Images blur at the edges, not fading, blending, like stars seen through thin clouds. Dreams don't appear suddenly. They assemble themselves slowly, layer by layer. First comes a feeling of distance from the physical world. Then a sense of motion without effort, as if you are being carried rather than walking. Your brain shifts into a rhythm it has practiced since childhood. Even before you could speak, you dreamed. Long before logic, your mind learned how to wander safely through imagined worlds. In this state, your sense of time loosens its grip. Minutes may stretch into something vast or vanish entirely. A single dream moment can hold an entire journey without ever feeling rushed. Dreams often reuse familiar landscapes: a quiet street, a room filled with soft light, a path leading somewhere just out of sight. These places are not random. They are emotional landmarks, spaces where your mind feels oriented and calm. Sometimes dreams repeat themes rather than scenes: flying without effort, searching gently without fear, watching rather than acting. These recurring patterns are signs of comfort, not concern. They show where your mind feels free. Your senses in dreams work differently. You may not notice fine details, yet everything feels complete. Sound arrives like water, surrounding rather than directing attention. Touch is implied rather than precise, like warmth remembered rather than felt. The body remains still, resting deeply. This stillness is important. It allows the dream to unfold without interruption, like a story told in a whisper that never needs to raise its voice. During this time, your mind quietly strengthens emotional balance. Experiences that carried weight during the day are softened. Sharp edges become rounded. Unfinished thoughts are gently folded away. Dreams don't solve problems the way waking thought does. They soothe them. They allow feelings to move, stretch, and settle into new shapes. Sometimes you may become aware that you are dreaming. This awareness doesn't have to change anything. It can simply be a calm observation, like noticing moonlight on water without needing to touch it. Even when dreams feel abstract or fleeting, they are deeply physical experiences. Your heart rate steadies, your breathing stays smooth, your nervous system rests in a state of safety. As this part of the night deepens, dreams grow longer and richer. They become less fragmented, more flowing. Scenes transition without effort, like clouds drifting into new forms. You don't need to remember them. Your body understands them. Your mind integrates their quiet work naturally. Right now, as you rest, your awareness is already moving inward again. Thoughts slow further. The space between them grows wider. You're approaching the deeper currents of sleep, where dreams don't just visit, they carry you. The night continues to deepen around you, and with it, the softness of your inner world. You are no longer holding your thoughts, they are holding you. Awareness becomes lighter now, as if it's gently lifted by warm air. Nothing pulls at your attention, nothing asks to be solved. Everything simply exists. This is where dreams feel less like stories and more like movement. You're not watching them unfold. You're drifting inside them. Your mind begins to think in sensations instead of words. A sense of openness, a feeling of calm expansion, a quiet knowing without explanation. In this space, images arrive without effort. They don't announce themselves. They simply appear, fully formed, the way reflections appear on water. Dreams often borrow familiar faces, but they don't always behave as expected. A voice may sound like someone you know, yet feel different. A presence may be comforting without having a clear shape. In dreams, Recognition comes before identity. Your brain is now resting from constant decision-making. The part of you that evaluates, compares, and corrects has gone quiet. What remains is a gentle observer, calm, curious, and unburdened. This is why dreams feel emotionally honest. There is no filter here, only atmosphere. Dream environments are rarely sharp. Edges soften. Distances feel flexible. You may move from one place to another without noticing how you arrived. The journey matters more than the path. Your breathing continues its slow, steady rhythm. Each inhale feels spacious. Each exhale releases something small you didn't realize you were holding. Dreams often help the mind practice letting go of outcomes, letting go of unfinished thoughts, letting go of the need to stay alert. In this state, memories are not replayed exactly. They are reshaped, gentled, given room to rest alongside new possibilities. Sometimes a dream may feel unusually vivid, light brighter than waking light, silence deeper than silence. This vividness isn't intensity, it's clarity without effort. Your body remains protected in stillness, muscles relaxed, jaw unclenched, shoulders heavy and supported by the surface beneath you. Even if you briefly surface toward wakefulness, the dream world waits patiently. It doesn't rush. It doesn't fade in frustration. It simply pauses like a tide holding back for a moment before returning. As the night moves forward, your dreams grow quieter, not emptier. There is more space between moments, more ease in the transitions. Right now, you are moving deeper into that ease. Thoughts float instead of land. Awareness drifts instead of grips. You are safe here, carried by the slow, steady current of sleep as the dream world opens wider and welcomes you further in. As the night grows thicker around you, sleep settles more deeply into your body, not suddenly, not completely, but gradually, like water filling a quiet hollow. Your awareness hasn't disappeared. It has simply changed its posture. It no longer stands upright, alert and searching. It reclines, supported, content to observe without effort. In this depth of rest, dreams begin to move differently. They no longer arrive as separate scenes. They flow one into another without edges or seams. You may sense motion without direction, a feeling of drifting forward or downward or nowhere at all. In dreams, movement doesn't require distance. It only requires intention, and sometimes not even that. Your mind is now operating in one of its most ancient modes. Long before language, before memory could be narrated, the brain learned to dream. This ability is older than logic, older than fear, older even than the idea of time. That's why dreams feel timeless. A moment can stretch until it feels complete, without ever feeling long. An entire experience can pass without leaving a trace of duration behind it. Inside your brain, patterns of activity shift gently, like constellations turning. Signals travel slower paths. Repetition gives way to rhythm. Instead of sharp focus, there is soft continuity. Dreams are especially sensitive to atmosphere, not events, atmosphere. A sense of warmth may become a sunlit room. A feeling of openness may turn into a wide horizon. A gentle calm may become floating or standing still beside water. Your dreaming mind speaks in environments, not explanations. It shows you how you feel rather than telling you what you think. As you rest, the boundary between inner and outer experience continues to thin. The sound of your breath may become part of the dream's rhythm. The feeling of weight may transform into stillness or grounding. The body is present, but it no longer demands attention. This is a deeply restorative phase of sleep. Here, your nervous system settles into safety. Heart rate smooths. Breathing remains even. The body receives the message it has been waiting for all day. You can rest now. Dreams play an important role here, even when you don't remember them. They help the mind release emotional residue, not by erasing it, but by placing it somewhere softer. Experiences that felt sharp during the day lose their edges. Concerns that felt heavy become lighter, less defined. Nothing is forced away. Everything is allowed to relax. You might notice that dream imagery here becomes simpler. Fewer characters, less narrative, more space, more sensation than story. This simplicity is not emptiness, it is efficiency. Your mind is conserving energy while still doing its quiet work. Sometimes during this stage, a dream may feel almost abstract. Shapes instead of places, movement instead of action, presence instead of identity. These dreams don't need to be understood. They are felt, absorbed, and integrated automatically. Your awareness now floats somewhere between observing and participating. You may feel like you are inside the dream, or like the dream is happening around you, or like there is no clear separation at all. This gentle ambiguity is a sign of deep rest. The mind is no longer insisting on boundaries. It trusts the process. If a thought appears, it drifts through without attachment. If an image forms, it dissolves naturally when it's done. Nothing lingers longer than it needs to. This is the slow tide beneath sleep, not the waves on the surface, but the deep, steady movement that carries everything effortlessly. As the night continues, this tide remains constant, supporting, holding, guiding you further inward. There is nothing you need to follow, nothing you need to remember, nothing you need to prepare for. You are already exactly where you should be, resting inside the quiet machinery of dreams as they continue their work, softly, patiently, beneath the surface of sleep. The night has now reached a deeper stillness, the kind that feels padded and safe. Outside, the world continues its quiet rotation, but inside, everything has slowed to a calm, steady rhythm. Your body rests heavily now, supported without effort. You are no longer aware of holding yourself in any position. Gravity feels gentle, almost optional. In this depth of sleep, dreams do not rush to entertain you. They linger, they breathe, they settle into place like stones resting at the bottom of clear water. Thoughts no longer form lines or sequences. They appear as soft impressions, a sense of familiarity, a calm presence, a feeling of being exactly where you belong. Your mind has entered a state where doing gives way to being. There is no need to move forward or backward. Everything exists in a quiet now that feels complete on its own. Dreams here are slower than earlier in the night. They don't jump from image to image. They expand gently, like a single scene, slowly revealing more space around it. You may sense yourself standing still in a dream landscape, not waiting, not searching, simply present. This kind of dream is deeply soothing to the nervous system. It tells your body, in a language older than words, that it is safe. Safe to release tension, safe to soften fully. Breathing remains slow and natural. Each inhale arrives without effort. Each exhale melts quietly into the space around you. Your heart follows this rhythm, steady and unhurried. There is no urgency here. Nothing requires your attention. Dreams at this depth often feel quieter, but more grounded. They may not be colorful or dramatic. Instead, they feel solid, like resting against something stable and warm. Sometimes these dreams feel almost like memories, though not tied to any specific moment. A sense of having been here before, a recognition without a story attached. This familiarity is comforting. It allows your mind to rest without needing to create new imagery. It allows your body to stay deeply asleep without disturbance. Your brain continues its gentle maintenance. Connections that are no longer useful loosen their grip. Helpful patterns strengthen quietly in the background. Nothing is forced. Nothing is rushed. Dreams serve as a kind of soft buffer here. They cushion the mind while these changes occur. They keep awareness occupied just enough to prevent waking, but relaxed enough to allow restoration. You might notice long stretches where nothing in particular happens. These are not gaps. They are pauses, meaningful, nourishing pauses. Silence in dreams is not empty. It is full of rest. If an image appears, it does so calmly. A wide sky, a dimly lit room, a still surface of water reflecting faint light. These images don't demand interpretation. They are there to be felt, not understood. Your sense of self becomes lighter here. You are less defined by name, role, or memory, more defined by presence alone. This reduction is soothing. It removes unnecessary weight. It lets awareness exist without carrying identity. Even if a dream includes movement, it is slow and smooth. No sharp turns, no sudden shifts. Everything transitions naturally, like evening sliding into night. At this depth, waking thoughts have little power. If one briefly appears, it fades before it can take shape. Sleep gently keeps its hold. Your body remains deeply relaxed. Face soft, jaw loose, shoulders heavy and settled. There is no signal here that morning is approaching, no pull toward the surface, only the steady presence of rest. Dreams continue quietly, doing less, but accomplishing more. They stabilize, they reassure, they hold the mind in a gentle embrace. You're not moving toward anything right now. You're resting within something, within the deep, quiet layer of sleep where dreams no longer perform. They simply exist. And as they exist, so do you, calm, supported, and unburdened, floating gently in the quiet depth where dreams rest. The night has now settled into its deepest balance, not the beginning of sleep, and not yet the approach of morning, but the still center where everything feels held in place. Here, rest is no longer something you are entering, it is something you are inside of. Your body remains quiet and heavy, yet comfortable. There is no awareness of effort. Muscles stay loose without instruction. The surface beneath you feels steady, as if it has always been there. In this center of the night, dreams become less visual and more spacious. They don't crowd the mind, they leave room. Awareness drifts gently, like a lantern floating on calm water. It glows softly, illuminating just enough to feel present, but never bright enough to wake you. At this depth, dreams often feel like atmosphere rather than imagery, a sense of openness, a gentle warmth, a feeling of continuity, as though nothing has been interrupted. Your mind is no longer trying to organize the day. That work is done. Now it simply maintains balance. Neural activity moves in slow, synchronized waves. These rhythms are deeply restorative, allowing the brain to reset its internal tempo. They are the reason you wake feeling renewed, even when you remember nothing at all. Dreams here may feel almost like silence with texture, a quiet that isn't empty, a stillness that feels alive. If an image forms, it is simple and unchanging. A horizon that doesn't move, a dim light that doesn't flicker. a space that feels endless yet safe. There is no need for narrative, no cause and effect, no beginning or end. This is where the mind rests from being a storyteller. It becomes a quiet listener instead. Your breathing remains slow and smooth. Each breath flows naturally into the next, without pause or control. The body knows exactly what to do. Heart rhythm follows along, steady and unremarkable in the best way. Nothing accelerates, nothing pulls. Dreams at this depth support emotional stability. They help regulate subtle stress responses that built up unnoticed during the day. They soothe without addressing anything directly. It's like setting a glass of water down after it's been shaken. Given enough stillness, the surface becomes clear again on its own. Your sense of time has nearly disappeared now. There is no awareness of passing minutes, only presence. You may feel as though you are suspended, not falling, not floating upward, just held gently in place. This sensation is deeply calming to the nervous system. It signals complete safety. At this stage of sleep, even the idea of effort feels distant. You're not trying to sleep. You're not trying to dream. You simply are. The mind occasionally releases a soft image or sensation, then lets it dissolve without attachment. Nothing stays longer than it needs to. This lightness prevents disturbance. It allows sleep to remain deep and uninterrupted. Your body continues its quiet restoration. Cells repair, hormones rebalance, energy stores refill slowly and efficiently. All of this happens without your involvement. Sleep is doing the work for you. Dreams here are not meant to be remembered. They are meant to be felt, absorbed, and released. They leave behind calm rather than stories. As the night holds steady, this still center remains unchanged. Nothing presses in. Nothing pulls you out. You are resting in the most neutral, peaceful layer of the night, where nothing needs to happen for everything to be exactly right. And so, you remain here, supported by silence, carried by steady rhythm, resting at the still center of the night, while dreams continue their quiet work around you. The night stretches on, wide and unhurried. There is no sense of distance now, only depth. Sleep is no longer something that surrounds you. It has become the space you exist within. Your body feels distant in a comforting way, not gone, just quiet enough to no longer ask for attention. Breathing continues like a slow tide, rising and falling without thought. In this long drift of deep sleep, dreams change their purpose. They no longer guide or process, they simply accompany. Awareness becomes softer than before, like a glow seen through closed eyelids. It doesn't focus, it doesn't wander far. It rests gently in the background. Dreams here are less about images and more about continuity, a sense that everything is flowing as it should. Nothing stands out, nothing interrupts. If a scene forms, it is expansive and calm, a wide landscape without sharp edges, a dim interior filled with steady light, a place that feels familiar without belonging to memory. These dream spaces don't invite movement, they invite stillness. Being there feels complete. Your mind has entered a phase of deep integration. Information processed earlier is now fully settled. Connections that matter are reinforced quietly. Unnecessary signals dissolve without friction. This is why sleep at this depth feels so nourishing. The mind is not reacting, it is balancing. Time feels irrelevant here. There is no sense of waiting, no sense of arrival, just an ongoing presence that feels stable and unchanging. Dreams may come and go without leaving a trace. You don't notice their beginning, You don't notice their end. They pass like slow-moving clouds in a sky too large to measure. Your nervous system remains in its calmest state. Muscles stay relaxed. Breathing remains smooth. Heart rhythm continues steadily, like a metronome set to rest. Nothing in you is bracing. Nothing is alert. This depth of sleep is protective. It shields the body from noise, from stray thoughts, from unnecessary awakenings. Even sounds from the outside world are softened before they reach awareness. Dreams here act like a buffer, a gentle layer that keeps consciousness floating just far enough away that sleep remains uninterrupted. You may feel a subtle sense of heaviness, not uncomfortable, but grounding, as if you are gently anchored in place. This sensation is the body's signal of full release. There is no need to adjust, no need to shift position. Everything is already settled. At times, there may be almost nothing happening at all. No images, no movement, just a sense of quiet existence. These moments are not empty. They are deeply restorative. They allow the mind to reset its baseline, returning to calm. Dreams at this depth often feel wordless. They communicate through atmosphere alone, through ease, through steadiness. You are not inside a story now, you're inside rest itself. Even the idea of you feels softened, less defined, less solid, more like presence than identity. This lightness is natural. It allows sleep to deepen without resistance. The night continues its slow arc, unseen and unfelt. There is no anticipation of morning, no pull toward wakefulness, only the long, gentle drift, steady, smooth, uninterrupted. As you remain here, sleep holds you effortlessly. Dreams continue their quiet companionship, not asking for attention, not leaving footprints behind. They simply move alongside you like a calm current beneath the surface of a deep lake, carrying everything gently forward through the long, peaceful middle of the night. The night now feels endless in the most comforting way, not long, not short, just wide, like a dark, quiet field with no edges. You are no longer drifting into sleep. You are resting inside it, held by a depth that feels steady and familiar. Your body remains deeply relaxed, almost forgotten. Weight is evenly distributed. No single point calls for attention. Every muscle stays loose, as if sleep itself is doing the holding for you. In this part of the night, dreams become very subtle. They don't announce themselves. They don't demand to be seen. They exist more like a background presence, calm, continuous, and kind. Awareness here is faint, but not gone. It's like a quiet listener, resting at the edge of everything, not watching, not judging, simply aware that rest is happening. Dreams at this depth feel less like places and more like states, a state of safety, a state of belonging, a state of gentle continuity. You may sense that you are not alone in this silence, not because someone is there, but because the silence itself feels attentive, as if the night knows exactly how to hold you. Your breathing remains slow and steady. Each breath arrives fully formed. Each exhale releases without effort. There is no pause where tension could return. The mind is now deeply synchronized with the body. Signals move smoothly. Nothing spikes, nothing drops. This harmony is one of the quiet gifts of deep sleep. It repairs not just energy, but balance. Dream imagery, if it appears at all, is minimal. A soft glow, a sense of space, a feeling of being gently surrounded. There is no storyline to follow, no action required, nothing to remember later. Dreams here are not meant for recall. They are meant for regulation. They soothe the nervous system in ways waking thought never could. You might feel as if you are resting behind your thoughts now, in a place where thoughts cannot reach, a protected inner quiet. Even emotions are calm here, not absent, but settled, balanced, neutral in the most peaceful sense. This is where the mind resets its emotional baseline, where small stresses dissolve without being revisited, where the body relearns what calm truly feels like. Time has almost no meaning now. There is no sequence, no sense of earlier or later, just a continuous now that does not move. This stillness is not fragile. It is strong, stable, resilient. Sounds from the outside world are filtered softly, as if wrapped in layers of calm before they reach you. Nothing sharp can enter here. Dreams continue quietly, like a low, steady hum. They don't rise or fall. They don't pull awareness forward or backward. They simply maintain the depth. Your sense of self remains light, less defined by memory, less shaped by expectation, more like a presence resting comfortably within itself. This reduction is deeply restful. It frees the mind from its usual structure. It allows true recovery. At this depth, sleep is doing its most important work. Strengthening, balancing, restoring. You don't need to cooperate. You don't need to participate. Everything is already happening exactly as it should. The night continues to cradle you in this deep silence. A silence that feels familiar, a silence that feels safe, a silence that somehow feels personal, as if it recognizes you, not by name, not by story, but by presence. And so you remain here, wrapped in the deep silence of the night, held gently by dreams that no longer speak, only hold, steady, calm, and unwavering, as sleep carries you onward, quietly and completely. The night continues without edges, without direction, without urgency. You are far from the surface now, in a place where sleep no longer feels like an action, but a condition, calm, steady, and complete. Your body rests in perfect cooperation with the darkness. There is no tension left to release, no signal asking for movement. Even the idea of effort feels distant, like a memory from another day. Breathing flows on its own, slow and full, as if guided by something wiser than conscious thought. Each inhale arrives gently. Each exhale fades away without resistance. Nothing interrupts this rhythm. Here, dreams are no longer trying to show you anything. They have shifted into a quieter role. They hold space. Awareness feels diffuse now, spread softly rather than focused. It doesn't settle on any one sensation. It rests everywhere at once, lightly, like mist filling a valley. Thoughts, if they appear at all, are incomplete. They don't finish themselves. They dissolve before forming meaning. The mind has moved beyond language. This is a deeply ancient state of rest. Long before humans named things, the mind learned how to sleep like this, safe, undisturbed, fully supported by the night. Dreams here feel like gentle currents rather than scenes. They move without imagery, without characters, without stories. You don't watch them. You float within them. There may be a sensation of openness, as though the boundaries of your inner world have expanded, not outward, but inward, as if there is more room inside than before. This spaciousness is deeply calming. It allows the nervous system to relax at its most fundamental level. No scanning, no guarding, no readiness. The brain settles into slow, powerful rhythms. These rhythms are not dramatic. They are stable. They synchronize distant regions of the mind, allowing everything to rest together. At this depth, dreams help reinforce a sense of safety that doesn't rely on reason. You don't think you are safe. You feel it without explanation. Images may still appear from time to time, but they are faint and simple. A soft glow without a source. A sense of being surrounded by something gentle. A feeling of quiet presence. These impressions don't linger. They pass through smoothly, leaving no residue behind. Your sense of time is almost completely absent now. There is no before or after, no anticipation, no reflection, only a continuous now that feels steady and complete. Even memory has loosened its grip, not erased, just resting, free from the need to replay or organize. The mind is no longer rehearsing the past or preparing the future. It has returned to a neutral center where nothing is required. This is where the deepest restoration occurs. Subtle imbalances correct themselves. Emotional weight redistributes evenly. The system returns to baseline. Dreams assist by remaining calm and unobtrusive. They do not excite the mind. They do not pull awareness forward. They simply ensure that sleep stays deep and uninterrupted. You might feel as though you are resting beneath layers. Layers of quiet, layers of softness, layers of protection. Each layer filters out disturbance. Each layer reinforces stillness. Sounds from the outside world are barely registered now. They lose their shape before reaching you. They are absorbed into the background without reaction. Your body remains motionless, but comfortable. No pressure points stand out. No discomfort calls attention. Everything feels evenly supported. At this depth, the idea of waking feels abstract, not unwanted, just irrelevant. There is no sense of morning approaching, no pull upward, only the steady continuation of rest. Dreams here are not meant to be noticed. They are meant to maintain this depth. They act like a gentle anchor, keeping consciousness from drifting too close to the surface. Your sense of identity is very light now. Name, story, role, all softened. What remains is presence without definition. This reduction is deeply restful. It removes unnecessary structure. It allows the mind to exist without effort. The night continues to hold you in this quiet suspension. Nothing changes quickly. Nothing shifts sharply. Sleep unfolds at its own pace, unhurried and precise. You are not moving through the night. The night is moving around you. And here, in this place where the mind sleeps deeper than thought, there is nothing to follow, nothing to remember, nothing to do. Only this steady, nourishing continuation of rest, supported by dreams that no longer speak in images or stories, but in silence, in balance, in the calm certainty that everything is exactly as it should be. The night has settled into a depth so complete it feels weightless, not empty, not distant, simply whole. You are no longer aware of entering sleep. Sleep has fully claimed its place around you, beneath you, within you. It holds without effort, without intention, without demand. Your body rests as if it has remembered something ancient, a posture older than thought, a way of being that requires no adjustment. Breathing continues in a slow, even rhythm. It feels round now, full at every point. There is no sharp beginning to the inhale, no clear ending to the exhale. Air moves in a soft circle, endlessly renewing itself. At this depth, dreams no longer form shapes meant to be seen. They exist as a quiet support system, a gentle structure that keeps awareness from rising and keeps rest from breaking. Your mind has let go of orientation. There is no sense of up or down, no forward or backward, only a stable presence that does not shift. This is where the brain reaches its most balanced state. Activity slows into wide, synchronized waves, not busy, not idle, perfectly measured. Dreams here feel like a soft field rather than an experience. They surround rather than appear. They hold rather than show. You may sense a faint feeling of warmth or a gentle pressure like being wrapped in a heavy blanket. This is not imagery. It is comfort translated into sensation. Thought has almost completely dissolved now. If a thought tries to form, it arrives unfinished, like a whisper that never becomes a word. The mind does not follow it. It lets it go immediately. This effortless release is one of the deepest signs of rest. Nothing is being resisted. Nothing is being chased. Your emotional landscape is smooth and even. No peaks, no valleys. Just calm neutrality that feels deeply reassuring. In this state, the nervous system receives a clear message. There is no threat, no urgency, no need for vigilance. Muscles remain loose and quiet. The face stays soft. The jaw remains unclenched. Even the smallest habitual tensions have faded. Dreams continue quietly in the background, not directing attention, not creating movement, simply maintaining continuity. They are like a low, steady tone, barely noticeable, but essential to the harmony. Your sense of self is now extremely light. You're not thinking about yourself. You're simply present, without labels or reference. This presence does not feel small. It feels expansive, yet contained, like resting in a space that has exactly the right dimensions. Time has fully loosened its hold. There is no awareness of how long you have been here. There is no curiosity about what comes next. The night stretches on quietly, not moving forward, not repeating itself, just continuing in a calm, uninterrupted flow. Outside sensations are softened before they arrive. They pass through layers of stillness and lose their shape. Nothing sharp reaches you here. Dreams at this depth do not belong to memory. They are not meant to be stored or recalled. They perform their function and dissolve completely. What remains is balance, a reset, a deep internal quiet that will stay with you long after waking. Your body continues its silent restoration. Cells renew, systems recalibrate. Energy returns in slow, precise increments. All of this happens without awareness, without effort, without involvement. Sleep does not ask anything of you. It simply holds. And so the night continues, layer upon layer of quiet stability, with dreams acting as a gentle anchor, keeping you safely suspended in rest, far from the surface, far from disturbance. You are not being carried somewhere. You are being kept in stillness, kept in balance, kept in the deep, unspoken safety of the night, where nothing needs to happen, nothing needs to change, and everything is already enough. The night continues to hold its steady shape, but something very subtle begins to shift. Not upward, not toward waking, just a gentle rearranging, like water settling into a new stillness. You remain deeply asleep. Rest has not loosened its grip. Yet beneath the calm, the mind begins preparing for balance, not for action, but for renewal. Your body is still heavy, supported, unmoving. There is no desire to turn or adjust. Every part of you feels placed exactly where it belongs. Breathing remains slow and complete. Each breath feels evenly spaced, as if measured by the night itself. There are no pauses that invite thought, no changes that invite awareness. At this depth, dreams become almost transparent. They are present, but barely noticeable, like clear water supporting weight without being seen. Awareness is now extremely faint, not focused anywhere, not observing anything, simply existing quietly, without edges. This is one of the most restorative phases of sleep. Here, the mind is not processing events or emotions. It is restoring equilibrium. Tiny imbalances from the day, emotional, physical, mental, are gently smoothed out, not corrected sharply, not forced into place, just evened, like sand settling after a wave passes. Dreams assist by remaining neutral. They do not stimulate. They do not distract. They keep the mind occupied just enough to stay asleep, but calm enough to allow deep repair. You may feel as if you are resting beneath layers of quiet. Each layer feels softer than the last, each one more insulating. Sounds from the outside world rarely reach this depth. If they do, they arrive without meaning, without urgency. They fade before they can take shape. Your nervous system remains fully at ease. There is no readiness response, no scanning, no tension hiding anywhere. The sense of self is now minimal. There is no storyline attached to you here, no identity to maintain, just presence, quiet, steady, and unburdened. Time still has no form. There is no awareness of how long this state lasts. It could be moments. It could be ages. The difference no longer matters. Dreams here are like gentle placeholders. They hold the space while everything else resets. They are not meant to be felt clearly. They are meant to be effective. If an image appears, it is extremely simple. A dim glow, a sense of space, a feeling of quiet expansion. These impressions dissolve almost immediately. They leave no trail behind them. They don't ask to be followed. The mind remains deeply synchronized. Different regions rest together instead of pulling in separate directions. This unity is what makes this stage of sleep so powerful. Your body responds by continuing its slow restoration. Tissues repair, chemical balances stabilize, energy stores quietly refill. All of this happens without sensation, without awareness, without effort. The night itself feels stable now, unchanging, unmoving, reliable. This stability is comforting. It allows the deepest systems in the body to relax fully. Nothing feels temporary here. Nothing feels uncertain. Dreams continue their subtle work, acting like a soft boundary between deep rest and nothingness. They keep consciousness gently anchored without pulling it upward. You are resting at one of the deepest points of the night, not the darkest, but the most even. Here, nothing rises, nothing falls. Everything remains gently balanced. This is the quiet before change, not a change you need to prepare for, but a change that will happen naturally, later, when the night begins its slow turn toward morning. For now, there is no movement, no direction, only continued rest. You remain held in this deep, steady quiet, supported by dreams that barely whisper, protected by layers of calm, as sleep continues to do its quiet, precise work, without interruption, without demand, without asking anything of you at all. The night remains deep and quiet, but far beneath the surface, a barely noticeable shift begins. Not a waking, not a movement, just a gentle stirring, like water changing temperature in the depths of a lake. You are still fully asleep. Nothing has loosened its hold. Your body remains heavy, calm, and completely supported. Breathing continues in its slow, steady rhythm. Each breath feels natural, unremarkable, perfectly timed. There is no change in pace, no signal that anything is different. And yet, something subtle has begun to reorganize. This is the stage where sleep quietly prepares for renewal, not for waking yet, but for balance. Dreams begin to shift their texture. They are still soft and unobtrusive, but they gain a faint sense of direction, not movement, but readiness. Awareness remains distant, so distant that it doesn't feel like awareness at all, more like a gentle hum of existence, resting far in the background. The mind is still free of thought. Language does not return. Concepts remain dissolved. What exists now is rhythm. Deep within the brain, slow waves begin to subtly change their pattern. Still calm, still synchronized, but slightly lighter than before, as if the night is breathing differently. Dreams respond to this shift by becoming a touch more structured, not stories, not scenes, just a faint sense of continuity returning. You may sense space more clearly now, not visually, but spatially, as if the inner world has gained a little more definition without losing its calm. The body remains deeply relaxed. Muscles stay loose. There is no impulse to move or adjust. Stillness continues to feel comfortable and complete. This stage of sleep is gentle and protective. It allows the mind to transition gradually, without shock or disruption. Nothing happens suddenly here. Dreams act as a soft cushion during this shift. They keep awareness from surfacing too quickly. They smooth the transition between deeper layers of rest. If an image appears, it is slightly clearer than before, but still muted. A dim horizon, a quiet interior, a sense of space opening softly. These images do not demand attention. They exist briefly, then fade on their own. Emotion remains neutral and calm. There is no excitement, no concern, no anticipation. The nervous system stays settled, unreactive. There is no alertness returning yet, only gentle regulation. Time remains indistinct. There is no sense of sequence, no awareness of duration, only the feeling of being held in an ongoing moment. Dreams here are still not meant to be remembered. They are functional, not expressive. They serve balance, not meaning. Your sense of self remains light, but slightly more defined than before. Not as a person, but as a presence that occupies space. This presence is calm, unquestioning, comfortable in stillness. The night itself feels stable, yet quietly alive, as if it is preparing to turn, but not yet turning. Everything continues at its own pace. Nothing is rushed. Nothing is forced. You remain deeply asleep, supported by layers of quiet, carried by slow, steady rhythm. This is the first soft stirring beneath stillness, not a signal to wake, but a sign that rest has done its work well. For now, sleep continues uninterrupted. Dreams remain gentle companions, guiding the transition without words, without images that linger, without pulling you upward. You stay right where you are, resting comfortably between depths, held by the night as it breathes slowly, patiently, and prepares in its own quiet way for what will come later. For now, there is nothing to notice, nothing to follow, only continued rest, deep, calm, and undisturbed, as the night remains with you, soft and steady. The night is still deep, still calm, still protective, but its grip is no longer at its tightest, not releasing you, just easing slightly, the way hands relax without letting go. You remain asleep, comfortably, completely. There is no pull toward waking yet. Your body continues to rest in full cooperation with the night. Muscles stay loose. Breathing remains slow and natural. Nothing feels unfinished. Yet somewhere beneath the quiet, dreams begin to change their tone. They are still gentle, still subtle, but they no longer press inward. They begin to give space back. Awareness remains distant, but it now has a faint outline. Not attention, not thought, just the soft sense of existing within a body again, without needing to interact with it. Dreams respond to this shift by becoming lighter, less dense, less anchoring. They no longer hold consciousness as firmly at the bottom. If images appear, they are simple and slow. A widening sky, a room filling with pale light, a sense of openness rather than enclosure. These images do not wake you, they prepare you. The mind is still quiet, but its rhythms subtly adjust. Waves move a little faster now, still smooth, still coordinated, just not as deep as before. This change is deeply natural. It happens every night. The mind knows exactly how to move through it. Your nervous system remains calm. There is no alertness, no readiness, only a gentle increase in clarity without tension. Dreams now act less like anchors and more like guides. They keep the transition smooth. They prevent sudden shifts. They allow rest to lift gradually rather than break. You may sense more space around you now, not visually, not physically, just an inner spaciousness, as if the night has widened slightly. Time is still vague, but no longer absent. There is the faintest suggestion of sequence, not before and after, but continuity. Your sense of self is still light, but slightly more present than before. Not defined, not named, just gently aware. This awareness does not bring thoughts with it. Language remains far away. The mind is still resting from meaning. Dreams here feel almost transparent. They pass without weight. They don't linger. They don't demand participation. Emotion remains neutral and calm. No excitement enters. No concern arises. Everything feels steady and safe. Your body continues its quiet restoration, finishing small adjustments, balancing subtle systems, completing what the deepest sleep began. There is no urgency in this phase, no direction, just gradual lightening. The night itself feels like it is breathing differently now, still slow, still gentle, but no longer completely still. This is not morning, not even close. It is simply the night turning slightly, preparing the way. You remain fully asleep, supported and undisturbed, while dreams soften their presence even more. They're no longer holding you down. They are allowing you to float just a little higher, not toward waking, but toward the surface of deep rest. Everything continues naturally. Nothing interrupts. Nothing surprises. You are still resting inside sleep, still wrapped in calm, still protected by the night. This is the moment when dreams begin to loosen their hold, not to leave you, but to trust that rest is complete. And so you remain here, suspended gently between depths, as the night continues its slow, quiet turning, patient and precise, doing exactly what it has always known how to do, carrying you forward softly without asking you to notice at all. The night continues its slow, careful shift, almost imperceptible. Nothing breaks. Nothing ends. Sleep simply changes its depth the way the ocean changes color as light moves above it. You're still asleep, fully, comfortably. There is no moment of crossing, no threshold you feel yourself step over. Your body remains calm and settled. Breathing stays smooth, steady, and unforced. The rhythm is familiar now, trusted, like a pattern the body has known forever. Dreams grow lighter again, not fewer, but softer. They no longer surround you from all sides. They drift nearby like thin clouds that don't block the sky. Awareness begins to feel a little clearer, but not sharper. There is still no thinking, no naming, just a quiet sense of being here, without location or story. The mind is no longer at its deepest point, yet it remains deeply rested. This layer of sleep is gentle and transitional, designed to keep everything calm, as balance completes itself. Dreams now feel less like environments, and more like impressions, a sense of openness, a suggestion of light, a calm familiarity that doesn't need explanation. If images appear, they are brief and simple, a horizon widening, a space becoming brighter without glare, a feeling of room rather than enclosure. These impressions do not pull you toward waking. They ease the mind into readiness without urgency. Your nervous system remains relaxed. There is no alertness yet, no anticipation, only a smooth continuation of rest. This is where sleep begins to hand control back gently, not to thought, not to attention, but to awareness. The handoff is careful, gradual, nothing is rushed. Time still feels distant, but not absent. There is a soft sense of flow now, like knowing that something continues even if you don't know what. Your sense of self becomes slightly more present, still light, still undefined, but no longer completely dissolved. You are not you yet, just a presence resting inside a body that feels safe and familiar. Dreams continue to thin, becoming more transparent. They pass through awareness rather than holding it. They leave no residue behind. Emotion remains neutral and steady. Nothing stirs strongly enough to be named. Everything feels even, balanced, complete. The body finishes its quiet adjustments. Small systems settle into alignment. Energy stabilizes, nothing is missing. The night itself feels like it has turned its face slightly toward dawn, not looking at it, just acknowledging that it exists somewhere far away. For now, there is no pull upward, no signal to wake, just a gentle rise within sleep itself. You remain deeply comfortable, supported, undisturbed, floating in a lighter layer of rest that still holds you completely. This is the calm space before waking becomes possible. Not imminent, not expected, just prepared. Dreams no longer need to anchor you. Sleep no longer needs to deepen. Everything is ready. And so, you remain here, resting in this gentle rise, as the night continues its slow, careful work, steady, quiet, and kind, allowing awareness to return naturally, without noise, without effort, without asking you to follow it anywhere yet. The night is still here with you, calm and unbroken. But now, it feels lighter, as if it's holding you with open hands instead of closed ones. You are still asleep, still resting. Nothing has asked you to return yet. Your body remains relaxed and steady. Breathing continues easily, smooth and natural, like a quiet tide that has never known urgency. Dreams, now thin almost completely, they don't disappear, they simply step back. What remains is a soft clarity, a gentle awareness without thought, like light behind closed eyes. There are no scenes to follow anymore, no images to interpret, only a calm sense of presence resting comfortably inside itself. This is the place where dreams finish their work, not abruptly, not dramatically. They fade the way night fog fades, slowly, kindly, without leaving sharp edges behind. Your mind feels clean here, not emptied, but settled. Emotions rest evenly, like stones at the bottom of clear water. Nothing pulls upward, nothing sinks downward, everything feels balanced. Your nervous system remains calm and unreactive. There is no alertness yet, but there is stability, a quiet readiness that feels safe rather than tense. Time begins to exist again, very faintly, not as minutes or hours, but as a sense that movement is possible, someday soon. For now, that movement is unnecessary. The night does not push you forward. It does not pull you back. It simply holds this final layer of rest in place. Your sense of self is present now, but gentle, not busy, not demanding, just quietly there. You may feel a subtle warmth spread through your body, not heat, but comfort, the kind that comes from deep rest completed well. Breathing remains slow, but slightly fuller now. Each inhale feels open, each exhale feels complete. Nothing interrupts this rhythm. Dreams have become memories without content. They leave behind calm instead of images, balance instead of stories. This is where sleep gives you back to yourself, carefully, without noise, without edges. The night still surrounds you, but it no longer needs to protect so tightly. It trusts that rest has done what it came to do. You are safe here, supported, ready, but not required to move yet. There is no instruction to wake, no need to prepare, only the quiet understanding that everything inside you is restored. And so you rest in this final softness where dreams have faded, where sleep has finished its gentle work, and where calm remains, steady and warm, like the last moments before morning light. If you choose to stay here longer, sleep will welcome you. If you begin to rise, it will let you go easily. For now, just rest, held in the quiet place where dreams end and peace remains. The night has grown very quiet, but it has not disappeared. It lingers softly, like warmth in a room long after a candle has gone out. You are no longer dreaming in the way you were before. There are no scenes unfolding, no images forming and dissolving, and yet sleep remains deep and complete. Your body rests in a state of quiet certainty. Breathing moves slowly and freely without instruction. Each breath feels natural, as if it belongs exactly where it is. The mind is awake just enough to exist, but not awake enough to think. This is a rare layer of rest, a place where the mind no longer creates experiences, but simply holds calm. Dreams have fully stepped aside now. They have finished shaping, smoothing, and balancing. What they leave behind is not emptiness, but steadiness. Awareness here feels wide and gentle, not pointed, not focused, just present. You may feel as though you are resting behind yourself, behind thoughts, behind identity, behind effort, a quiet observer that does not need to observe. Your nervous system rests in its most neutral state. No alertness, no withdrawal, just equilibrium. This is where the deepest sense of safety settles, not the kind that comes from reassurance, but the kind that comes from nothing needing reassurance at all. Time barely exists here, not as sequence, not as expectation, only as a soft continuity, a sense that everything is flowing exactly as it should. The body continues its quiet renewal. Tiny adjustments finish themselves. Energy redistributes evenly. Nothing is rushed. If a sensation appears, it is subtle, a gentle warmth, a sense of space, a quiet comfort that does not ask to be named. Thoughts do not return yet. Language stays distant. Meaning remains unnecessary. This is the calm that stays after dreams, not fragile, not temporary, stable and deep. You're not waiting for morning. You're not preparing to wake. You're simply resting inside completion. The night remains with you, not as darkness, but as protection. Nothing pulls you forward. Nothing holds you back. You remain exactly where rest is most complete, in the calm that stays long after dreams have done their work. The night continues, but now it feels different. Not deeper, not lighter, simply settled. You are resting in a place that does not need description, a layer of sleep that has no clear edges, no beginning, no ending. Your body remains still and comfortable. Breathing moves slowly, evenly, without effort. It feels as if the breath is no longer something you do, but something that happens gently around you. There is no dream narrative here, no movement from one place to another, no figures, no voices, no scenery. And yet, this is not emptiness. It is fullness without form. The mind is present but silent. It does not search. It does not organize. It does not review or prepare. It simply rests. This state is older than memory, older than language. It is the kind of rest that living beings have always known, the rest that comes when vigilance is no longer needed. You may feel as though you are floating inside your own calm, not rising, not sinking, just gently suspended. The sense of you is very light here. There is no role attached to it, no name, no story, just awareness resting comfortably inside itself. Time is barely present. It does not move forward in steps. It does not loop backward. It stretches quietly, like a long breath that never needs to end. Your nervous system is deeply settled now. There are no signals of urgency, no subtle readiness hiding beneath the surface. Every system has received the message that it is safe to let go. This is the kind of rest that repairs quietly, not with effort, not with sensation, but with patience. The body continues its work in the background. Muscles remain loose. The heart keeps its slow, steady rhythm. Cells renew themselves without announcement. Nothing interrupts this process. If a sensation appears, it is vague and comforting, a sense of warmth spreading evenly, a feeling of being gently held without pressure. Thoughts do not return. They drift near the edge, perhaps, but they do not enter. The mind has learned that it does not need them here. This layer of sleep is not dramatic. It does not feel profound while it is happening. Its power comes from its quiet consistency. It is the kind of rest that leaves no memory, but changes how waking feels later. You are not aware of being restored. You are simply being restored. The night remains steady around you. There is no hint of morning yet, no shift in light, no pull upward. Sleep is not moving you toward anything. It is allowing everything to settle fully before movement becomes possible again. Dreams are completely absent now. They are not waiting nearby. They are finished. What remains is pure rest, unshaped, uncolored, unspoken. This is the deepest kindness the night offers, a space where nothing is required, nothing is expected, nothing is missing. You are not inside a story. You are inside balance. Breathing continues, slow and smooth. The body feels supported from every side. There is no discomfort, no awareness of position, just ease. This is the long rest that has no name. It does not need one. It exists only to let everything in you return to its natural rhythm. You remain here, undisturbed, unhurried, resting inside the quiet architecture of sleep, where nothing changes quickly and nothing needs to. The night remains vast and unbroken, stretching gently in all directions. It no longer feels like something you are moving through. It feels like something that exists with you, steady, quiet, and endlessly patient. You are resting inside a stillness that does not ask for attention. It does not pull at awareness. It does not invite thought. It simply holds. Your body continues to rest deeply. Breathing flows in a slow, even pattern, unchanging and calm. Each breath feels complete on its own, as if it does not need the next one to follow. There is no sense of effort anywhere, no subtle tension hiding in muscles, no readiness waiting beneath the surface. Everything has settled into cooperation. In this layer of sleep, the mind no longer drifts. It does not wander. It does not observe. It rests in place. Awareness feels broad now, not focused, not scattered, but evenly spread like soft light, filling a room without shadows. There are no dreams here, not even faint ones. Nothing forms, nothing dissolves. This is not the absence of dreaming. It is the completion of it. Dreams have already done what they came to do. They shaped, softened, and balanced. Now, they have stepped away completely, trusting that rest can sustain itself. Time feels almost non-existent, not slow, not fast, simply irrelevant. There is no sense of how long you have been here. There is no curiosity about how long you will remain. The question itself does not arise. Your nervous system is at its quietest baseline. No alert signals fire. No scanning occurs. Every internal system understands that nothing is required. This is the depth where recovery becomes invisible. You do not feel it happening. You do not notice progress. And yet, everything is being restored. Tiny systems recalibrate. Subtle imbalances even out. Energy spreads gently through the body without sensation. The heart continues its calm rhythm, not slow because it must be, slow because it can be. The breath follows along naturally, rising and falling like a tide that never reaches shore. The sense of self is nearly transparent here, not gone, just quiet enough to no longer define experience. There is no name attached, no role, no history, just presence, resting without identity. This kind of rest is deeply stabilizing. It resets the mind's reference point for calm. Later, when you are awake again, this stillness will echo subtly beneath thought and movement. But for now, there is no later. Only this. The night feels vast, but not empty. It feels full in a way that does not require content. Like a sky without clouds, nothing happening, yet everything supported. If a sensation appears, it is extremely gentle. A vague sense of warmth, a feeling of being evenly supported, a quiet comfort that does not ask to be noticed. Nothing disturbs this layer. Sounds from the outside world are filtered away before they reach awareness. They lose their shape, their meaning, their urgency. The mind remains untouched. Sleep is not deepening anymore. It does not need to. It has reached a state of equilibrium, stable, self-sustaining, complete. This is the wide stillness that holds everything, the place where effort has fully released, where awareness exists without direction, where rest does not need to prove itself. You are not drifting now. You are not suspended. You are held by the quiet logic of the night, held by rhythms older than thought, held by a calm that does not fluctuate. Nothing changes quickly here. Nothing surprises. Nothing asks you to follow. You remain in this wide stillness, supported on all sides, while sleep continues to do what it has always done best: restore without noise, balance without effort, and hold you gently in a place where nothing needs to be added and nothing needs to be taken away. The night remains calm and expansive, but something subtle begins to gather beneath the stillness. Not motion, not thought, just a quiet readiness, resting far below awareness. You are still deeply asleep. Nothing has called you upward. Nothing has loosened its hold too quickly. Your body stays relaxed and supported. Breathing continues in its slow, even rhythm, each breath unfolding naturally, without effort or intention. This is not a return to dreaming. Dreams have already finished. They do not return now. Instead, what forms here is a gentle foundation, a stable ground from which waking could eventually rise without urgency, without disturbance. Awareness remains soft and unfocused. It does not move toward sensation. It does not reach for thought. It simply exists, quietly present. The mind is still resting deeply, but it is no longer completely withdrawn. It has turned slightly outward, the way the night sky turns imperceptibly before dawn, without light yet appearing. This turning is calm, natural, unnoticed. Your nervous system remains settled. There is no alertness, no scanning, no readiness to react, only a balanced openness. The body continues its final stages of restoration. Small systems complete their adjustments. Energy distribution stabilizes. Nothing feels unfinished. If any sensation appears, it is gentle and neutral, a sense of comfort, a quiet ease, a feeling that everything is in its right place. There is no emotional movement here, no rise, no fall, only steady equilibrium. Time still has very little meaning. There is no awareness of duration, only the sense that this state is sufficient. Sleep here is no longer doing heavy work. It is maintaining balance, holding everything steady so nothing shifts too quickly. This is the layer of rest that prevents abrupt waking. It smooths the transition between deep sleep and eventual awareness, even if that awareness is still far away. Your sense of self is present only as a faint outline, not as a person, not as a story, just as a quiet being. There is no curiosity attached to this presence, no reflection, no anticipation. The mind does not ask what comes next. It does not need to. The night itself feels slightly different now. Not darker, not lighter, just subtly oriented toward change, without moving yet. Everything remains slow. Everything remains gentle. Outside sounds, if they exist, are absorbed before they matter. They do not form meaning. They do not invite response. The body stays perfectly still, not because it must, but because it feels complete as it is. Breathing remains smooth and quiet. Heart rhythm stays calm and unremarkable. Nothing speeds up, nothing slows down. This state is deeply protective. It keeps the mind from rising too quickly. It ensures that when waking does come, it will arrive softly. For now, though, waking is only a possibility, not an event. You remain held in the night's quiet readiness, where rest has finished its work, but still stays present, ensuring stability. This is not anticipation. It is preparation without awareness. You're not being guided toward anything. You're simply being kept in balance. The calm here is confident. It does not need reinforcement. It does not fluctuate. You rest inside it, effortlessly. This is the quiet readiness beneath complete rest, a place where nothing is happening, yet everything is prepared. You remain here, undisturbed, supported, and calm, as the night continues its slow, careful arc, not yet revealing what comes next, not yet asking you to rise, only holding you gently in the final, stable layer of sleep before change becomes possible at all. The night has almost completed its long, gentle arc, not ending, but opening. You are still resting, still calm, still supported, yet awareness now feels quietly whole, as if it has gathered itself without effort. There is no sudden awakening, no crossing of a line, just a soft return, the way light arrives in a room before you notice the sun. Your body remains relaxed and at ease. Breathing is smooth, full, and natural. Each inhale feels open. Each exhale feels complete, as though nothing is left behind. Sleep has finished its deepest work. Everything that needed to settle has settled. Everything that needed to soften has softened. Dreams do not return now. They are not needed. Their role is complete. What remains is a quiet clarity, not thinking, not planning, but a gentle readiness to exist again in the waking world whenever that moment comes. Awareness feels rounded and stable, not sharp, not alert, simply present. You may sense your body a little more clearly now, its weight, its warmth, the steady rhythm of breath and heart. These sensations do not pull you upward. They simply remind you that you are here. Time begins to reform slowly, not as urgency, not as schedule, just as sequence. A calm understanding that moments can follow one another again. Your nervous system remains deeply calm. There is no jolt of alertness, no tension returning, only a smooth readiness, like standing in warm water near the shore. The mind is clear but quiet. Thoughts have not returned yet, and when they do, they will arrive gently, without force. This is the final gift of deep sleep, not energy alone, but ease. Ease in being present, ease in returning, ease in simply opening your eyes when the time feels right. You may notice a subtle sense of comfort spreading through your body, like warmth settling evenly. This is rest completing itself. Nothing rushes you forward. Nothing holds you back. The night does not cling. It releases with kindness. You are free to remain asleep a little longer, floating in this soft clarity where nothing is demanded. Or you may begin to wake slowly, carrying this calm with you, into breath, into movement, into the gentle start of a new moment. Either way, the quiet remains. Sleep has done its work well. Dreams have guided, softened, and released. Balance has been restored. And now, in this final stillness, you rest inside the calm that stays, not as sleep, not yet as full waking, but as a peaceful bridge between the two. There is nothing to remember, nothing to achieve, nothing to resolve. Only this gentle return, carried by calm, supported by breath, and held in the quiet confidence that everything inside you knows exactly how to continue. Whenever you choose to open your eyes, the world will be there, and you will meet it rested, steady, and whole.